Valley Knits. Today is Sunday, June 6th, I think, and I am down at Steamboat Dock again, right down the road from where I live. It's a very hazy, humid, not hot, not cold. It's actually been raining all day. There's not a lot of people down here. That's why I decided to come. Even if it rains a little, I'm under a canopy of trees, so it should be okay. And I thought because it was hazy with the sun setting behind me, wouldn't show up because the clouds are blocking it. Yeah, I'm drinking hot coffee because it's like, I would say maybe 65, I'm just guessing, degrees here in the Hudson Valley. Yesterday was a gorgeous day, but today not so much. And I know I'm looking a little shady. Not much I can do about it. So it's been 2 weeks. I'm actually on schedule today, and I have some exciting news. You might guess what it is if you watched last week. I also have a giveaway winner to announce. And a lot of knitting, and I can't believe I did so much knitting because I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but I've been working a lot of hours. We had I'm working on a project that's, you know, not going to be even going live until mid next year. But we're in it full force, and we're just crazy busy at work. Everybody is, and good thing I like what I do. That's all I can say. So let's get at it. I'm going to start with my whips. So let me pull those out. Now I have to be careful because I don't want to get anything dirty or wet. And my bag of stuff is on the damp ground here, so I gotta be careful. So bear with me if I bend over a lot. And I'm just gonna show you in order I pull them out. This is my Lazy Days of Summer shawl by Iris Schreier, I think is how she says her name. It's knit with Art Yarns, one of my favoriteest luxurious yarns. Oh, and I'm in the middle of a row. It'll be hard to show you without losing a stitch, which I just did. Hold on. All right. So I gotta hold this. Ooh. Wow, you can, oh my goodness, I love how it's showing the sparkles. The color is a little more green than blue here, but it's the nature of this hand painted yarn that, depending on what light you're in and how you catch it, it's gonna define what colors show off. But you can see the sparkles like crazy, why I love the sequins and beads in her yarns. So here is the Progress Keeper. It's not a lot. What is it, maybe 4 or 5 rows? Yeah, probably 3 rows since I last showed it to you, but it's in my bag, so I'm showing it to you. I have been really concentrating on my design along sweater, and paying not much mind to anything else. Where do you see it? I'm so excited to show you. All right. Ooh, sorry. I'm putting it on the picnic table as I show it to you. Here is the Jeffa. Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you. In my little Skin in the Big Woods bag. Love this bag. One of my favorites. This is in my Jan Smiley bag. Another favorite project bag. I really should just get rid of the rest of my project bags. I hardly ever use any of the other ones. So this is still on the sleeve. You know what? I'll put a Progress Keeper on this one too. This is the Jeffa by Laura Nelkin. This is still the sleeve, and believe it or not, I think I got like at least one repeat done. Isn't that beautiful? Oh. This is knit with Spirit Trail Fiberworks Nona, and you can't really see the beads, sadly, because you can see a little bit there, but I matched the color too perfectly, and they don't show off nice. So lesson learned, like I said. But I am knitting this with beads. The pattern does not call for beads, but there is a project on Ravelry that has some really great notes, pattern notes for beads, if you want to add them. And this Nona has beautiful shades of blue. You can see there, grays and blues, but mostly like bright blues. And I think it's called Bunting is the colorway. So I had, I love the smell of this yarn. Let's see here if I don't know what is in Nona. What's in Nona? Nona is 50% superwash merino, 25% cashmere, and 25% bombyx silk. And it's a 630 yard put up on 150 grams. It's a heavy lace weight, which I agree with. That's why it smells so good. Is the silk? That's what I'm smelling. 1930. I probably got this in 2013. I probably got it at Rhinebeck. What I was telling you is, for the beading, I'm using size 8 beads, a lace weight size bead. It's a little tight with the Nona, because the Nona, do you hear the Canadian geese? Here they come. Are they going to show up behind me? Maybe. They're coming. You'll see them in a minute. What I've been doing is I've been using the super tiny crochet hook. I'm looking to see what size it is. 0.4 millimeter crochet hook. It's super, 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 where is it? Tiny. And you can see how skinny this crochet hook is. You could hurt yourself on it. Are they back with me? I don't know where they went. Alright. So what I decided to try is I went out and got some of this dental floss stuff. And oh gosh, is it so much easier to get the beads on my knitting with this. Preloaded. You just kind of stick the end into your stitch, fold it over, right, and then grab a bead. See, now it's going to be a hard time. Grab a bead and push it over both, and it literally just goes right into your stitch that way. I think it's starting to rain again. I might have to pause it and try something else. Yeah. I'm gonna have to pause this and get out of the rain. I'll be back. Yeah, it started raining. It actually didn't get too bad, but I came up with this great idea. I drive a hatchback, so the camera is actually in the car, and I'm sitting underneath the hatchback door. So if it rains, my chair might get a little wet, but I won't. And like my knees are right up to the bumper of the car. And now I have a place to put my knitting. So it works out. You can see the boat launches behind me. So you still have a nice view of the river. Now where was I? I was talking about whips, and I think I was talking about Legefa and how I was using the dental floss to load the beads, and how much nicer that, and quicker, because it's really slow with the beads. So I know it seems like I'm showing you the same thing every week, and sometimes I feel like I'm dull and boring, but I really don't like to have too many projects on the needles, because then things never get done, and I like to enjoy the finished products. So All right. I have a new pair of socks on the needle, which it probably means you can guess what my finished object, my one finished object is. But my new pair of socks on the needles is, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it right, but it's called Cowl. The Cowl pattern is by Hunter Hammerson, who's like one of my favorite sock pattern writers. She does a lot more than socks, but her socks I love to knit. And I am knitting it in Spirit Trail Fiberworks Suna. It's in my Jan Smiley bag, because this is my sock knitting bag that I love to use. And let me stand up to show it to you. So here's the yarn. It's a little dark. This is called Ancient Stones. It's actually better if I stand. Let me see. It's a little better. Anyway, here's the sock. It's a lace and tiny cable pattern. Let me see. I sit back, it's probably a little better. Sorry. Well, it's because the camera's in the car, so it's messing everything up. But there you go. You can see the cable. And then the lace, cable lace. And Suna yarn is like the perfect yarn to show off a pattern like this. Suna has silk, the Bombeck silk, and let's see, 75% superwash merino, 15% cashmere, just enough for a beautiful softness, and 10% Bombeck silk, which makes it super durable. And I should have brought them, but I have a pair of socks made with Suna, and it's a Hunter Hammerson pattern too. And I will try and remember to show it to you next week, but I've been wearing those a lot in the past 4 years, and they look like they just came off the needles because it doesn't wear out. Even with the cashmere in this, even with the cashmere, it doesn't really pill that much, except maybe a little at the heel. So I'm really enjoying it. It's easy to memorize. It's a gorgeous color. It reminds me of nature, so I got to put this up on Emily from Knitting Butterfly podcast. I got to put it up on her Nature Along or Knitting in Nature. I'll have to hashtag that. What else have I got? I have my design along. I'm going to go through the spiel again. And I have so much to talk about with this. I feel like maybe I should save it to the end, but I'm not gonna. So, I am participating in the Shirley Patton design along. Stuck here. Shirley Patton, if you haven't heard of her, she's an amazing knitwear designer. She's written books, numerous amazing patterns in Vogue Knitting Live and whatnot. And she's just amazing. She's super meticulous. She doesn't settle for any imperfections. So you have to be willing to take that or work with that to work with her design along. The only thing that she asks in return is that you go through the process and you participate in the online forum so that everybody can learn from each other. And so what I have completed is the entire front is now complete, and the panels are sewn together. So I'm going to stand up for a minute. All right, here's the front. Okay, so it is a big sweater. See how wide it is? It's 30 inches wide in the front, and the reason for that is it's going to be a sweater that's made to be worn on top of many layers. It's an outdoor sweater to be worn more like a jacket. So I plan on having maybe even a sweater underneath this or some flannel shirts or layers. Just basically layers. It has the kangaroo pocket with the I-cord edge. Right? And then because the cables here had a different row gauge than the moss stitch here, I had to knit this, then I knit this, and then I knit this, and then I seam them up here. And I even knit the Fair Isle flat. Now, if I had to do this over, I would have knit it in the round Mystiques. But, live and learn. Now, this has to be sewn down a little bit just to make it stretch. But the pockets, I did the I-cord edging. And when I first did it, I'm going to sit down now. When I first did it, and I'll insert a picture, it was, you could see, so you know when you bind off and you get those steps, right? Because I bind off like 6 stitches and then 4 and then 2 and then 1 and then 1. Well, it left these steps, and when I did the I-cord on top of it, first of all, I only did a 2-stitch I-cord. This is a 3-stitch now. And because of the way I did the bind off, it just looked, you could see the steps underneath the I-cord, so it was awful. So I ripped it out and I posted the picture of the crappy I-cord on the forum thread, and a couple of people gave some suggestions, and actually Shirley sent me a couple of emails with a couple of different I-cord techniques, and also recommending a technique that's in her book on page 77, Wear Design book if you have it, called the sloped bind off. I can't recommend it enough, and I couldn't go back and redo my bind off on the pockets because I had already knit all the cable off of that piece, so there was no way I was going back and redoing it. But for anything else I ever do, it's going to be this slope bind off. And I'll try and explain it to you with my swatches. But first let me show you the back. I have started the back. So the back also has the color work. Now this is not block, so you can see it's a little puckery in the color work area, but I'm not quite up to the armholes yet. But it's going nice and fast. It's a bulky weight yarn, Turbine from Harrisville Designs. It's a lovely yarn. I would definitely knit with it again. Very, very willingly. I like it a lot actually. And I like the colors. I like the heathered look to it. I just really love everything about it. Except it's very woolen spun, and it pulls apart if it is even slightly untwisted. It has a little twist to it. Sorry, you can see. But if you, I'm afraid to do this because this is my working yarn. Let's see if I can show you on this swatch I did here. If you untwist it, it just really pulls right apart, like easy. So, oh no. So that's the only thing I would say about the Harrisville yarn is it's a little delicate. So, that being said, let me show you what I did with the slope bind off and the I-cord so I could share this great technique with you. Alright, so first thing, this is the cast off I did when I was playing around with the slope bind off. So what you do, so I bound off 5, 5, 5, and 5, right? Now the first thing you do is you go in and you bind off your first 5 stitches, go all the way across. Now when you come back on the purls, you're purling now, you come back and you don't purl the last stitch. You just turn your knitting around. So now you have 1 stitch on the right hand needle and all the rest on the left. You slip the first stitch on the left hand needle to the right, pass that slip stitch over, and then knit one, pass over, then you decrease your 5 stitches, but the 5th one you just slip. You don't knit it or anything. Go all the way across, come back, and again you're going to, when you come back, you're not going to purl the last stitch. You just turn your work around, take that one, knit the next one, pass that slip stitch over, and it makes this gentle slope and no steps. And I can show you what I mean by steps because I have my shoulders I did like that, and I'm going to rip it out and redo it. But you see the steps on my shoulder bind off, where it goes up and then over and then up? That's what it gets rid of beautifully. If you want more details, you could try Googling it, or you could just buy Shirley Patton's amazing book, Knitwear Design. Now, with the I-cord, this is what she suggested for me. She gave me 2 suggestions. One, well, first thing was to do a 3-stitch I-cord, and this is dark so it's hard to see. And then the second thing she suggested was you could add an extra yarn over, which is this side, to make it much more flexible. I liked that part, but on the pocket, I didn't want the pocket to bulge, so I went with the less flexible. And what she does is she picks up all the stitches first, cable cast on 3 more stitches, then you slide those stitches over, knit the first 2, slip the 3rd one, knit the picked up stitch, and pass the 3rd stitch that you slipped over the stitch you just knit from the picked up edge. And this is the beautiful result. I have a little hole there, but this was just a swatch just to see which I like better. And you could see it on you saw it on my sweater. It just looks much better. And I'll show at the end of my video, I'll put the before and after video so you can see what a beautiful difference it made. So much smoother. So that is all my whips, right? Yeah. So the one FO is the Hermione's Everyday Socks. Get those. Get this out of the way. Here they are. Hermione's Everyday Socks. I broke down and bought new sock blockers because I couldn't find mine. Here they are. I love this sock yarn. The colorway is Dahlia, and it's by Never Enough Time. She has an Etsy shop. I did Hermione's Everyday Sock. I did a regular 2x2 ribbon, Hermione's stitch pattern, which is like just a purl repeat pattern, a peacock heel. So it's basically a heel flap with a regular old-fashioned heel turn and gusset, and I always knit flat in the bottom and just a regular decreased toe. And again, I just love the colors. I wish you could see the colors better, but my phone is in the shade. So that's the one finished object. And I also have a finished object for spinning. Finally, I haven't been spinning much, hardly at all. And this came out gorgeous. It's 2F by hand, and it is Falkland, and the colorway is called Here Comes Your Man. See it's like a peacock. I don't know if I could pull this closer. Hold on, bear with me. It's a little better. But I had a little left over, so I 3-plied it, chain plied it. That's not good. I think the sun's starting to come out, guys. It's messing me up. So anyway, I did a 2-ply, and this is 100% Target. It's very, very soft, but it's not what I would call squishy. It's not flat, but it's not terribly squishy, and I really love it. Maybe a nice cowl with this or something would be lovely. So it goes into the hand spun stash. I haven't knit anything in hand spun this year, I don't think. Definitely have to do that. It's on my goals list. This is a good time to talk about that, eh? I have a 2016 goals contest on in my Ravelry group. I am not doing very well. I just looked over my goals for this year, and I've hardly hit any of them. I'm like, there's no way I could do them all now. But I will have prizes, so definitely check it out if you're interested. Next thing on the hit parade is my small little stash enhancement knit circus. Let me take this out. This is the last installment of the 4 Seasons Yarn Club, and I highly recommend it. What you get for your money, it's awesome. The yarns are gorgeous. Everything's wonderful. The extras are extraordinary. This time we got this with some needles. Once we got a project bag, we got this beautiful wooden needle gauger, needle sizer. What else did we get from them? Just loads of really nice prizes that went with our, our yarn shipment. So this is the Corriedale sock, 385 yards of 75% superwash Corriedale, 25% nylon, and it's beautiful oranges to orangey pink, if you could imagine that. Maybe even, I don't know what to call it, next to the orange there in the center. It's just gorgeous. She's like a mastermind with color. And then the purple, I don't know what to knit. I have a nice amount of her yarn now, Jala's yarn, and I have to make something with it. So speaking of beautiful yarn, I pulled for the the prize winner for this, the Colorworks by Debbie yarn. I have that upside down in the Hudson Valley Knits colorway, and I pulled a winner, and I took a picture of her profile on Ravelry, not thinking that I can't look at it because I am recording on my phone. So her name is Linda. It is entry number 6, and I will contact her and let her know that she won and get her address. But thank you all for checking out Deb's site. Deb is a friend of mine. She lives right down the road. Well, she lives a few miles down the road from me in Croton, and she's a lovely person. She's a great designer, amazing with color work. Now she's doing her own yarn, so I'd appreciate it if you could just give her some consideration with her patterns or her yarn. And now, a lot of cool announcements. The first one being, I'm ready. I have published today the Awakening Cowl pattern. It's on Ravelry. It is free, and please spread the word, like it, put it in your queue, share it with friends, and let everybody know that we're going to be doing a knit along starting in July 1st. And here's the cowl. I love it with the buttons on the side. What I love about this is actually quite the stiffness, because if you live in the Northeast, you know that when the wind comes and you just want to snuggle down and keep your ears warm and your nose warm, you can just do that. And it's perfect for cold weather. It's Shetland wool. It's made with Jamieson's 2-ply spindrift. I gave the colors a while ago in the thread. They're all listed, but feel free to use any fingering weight you have in your stash. I would just recommend that it be wool because of the steeking. So please, please, I'd appreciate it so much if you could just, even if you don't plan on making it, if you could like it and put it in your queue so it will get somewhat popular and people will see it. I would greatly appreciate it. Or if you know someone that might like to try a beginner level Fair Isle pattern, this is perfect for that. And when we do the knit along in July over the summer, then we'll be going through it phase by phase together, and you could ask any questions of me. I can do videos, we can have virtual knit alongs to help each other out. So I'm so excited about it. I'm going to use the hashtags a Fair Isle Cowl, K-A-L, and also hashtag Awakening Cowl. So if you do make it and you put pictures, please use the hashtags so I can find you. And finally, I have another kind of unofficial knit along that I wanted to kind of revive and put out there again. There's no prizes for this one for my goals knit along, and for the senior love along there of course are lots of prizes. I have a ton of prizes stored away for those, but this one is just for fun, and it's a clean up your whips knit along over the course of the year. And like I said, I'm doing terribly. Actually, one of my goals is to knit through some of my old whips, and it hasn't been going very well. But let's use that thread to motivate each other and try and get some of our whips out of the closet. So definitely check out that thread. I'm gonna actually bump it up by confessing how terrible I've been doing. So anyway, that's it for today, guys. I am really excited about the pattern, and I really hope people like it, and I hope most of all that it'll encourage some people to maybe try stranded knitting. It's my favorite knitting technique more than anything. I love knitting color work, and very particularly I like to do it with the Shetland wool. It's so beautiful, and it's such a great wool, and it's super sturdy. It lasts forever, and I just love it. So thank you all for ahead of time for checking it out, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.
Yeah, my niece is doing a photo shoot for the new pattern. I'm fine.
Of course. Alright, let's see what I love that tree. Or you want to play with it for a little bit? Let me see what it looks like.